There. Gunshots rang out at the Prime Minister Stephen King's constituency office, resulting in the death of one man and leaving the nation in a new state of shock. St. Lucia police have identified the dead man as Alfred Richards, who is also known as Ding Ding of Mondudon. Prime Minister King, who was in the office at the time, was not injured in the armed attack, and we'll hear from him in a moment. The government says that the incident will prompt a review of security for government ministers and at government offices. DBS's Pete Ninfal begins our news coverage.
It was sometime after 12 this afternoon when a lone gunman showed up at the Prime Minister's constituency office in Leclerc and discharged a loaded firearm at a 30-year-old man who was waiting to see the PM. One eyewitness says the victim was sitting on the balcony of the building right next to her when the assailant struck.
I just heard boom, 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 boom. And that's what, when I turn my back, I see a guy running with a long gun, a black long gun. That's all I see, and I see the feet of the person by the door, and when I watch, I see the person on the floor.
Yeah, I was just home on my computer doing some work there, and I just heard 3 shots rang out, so I ran outside the balcony to find out what's happening, and I came down here and realized someone got shot over here. Yeah, that was it.
The assailant, who eyewitnesses say wore a handkerchief that partially covered his face, ran towards a waiting vehicle near the Vite Bouteille school and escaped. The island's new female crime chief was doing a media interview when a member of the public called to indicate what was going on.
I received information by somebody just calling in and informing him about this incident. Again, we immediately responded, proceeded. As to the details, cannot furnish you with that at this point in time, but at the soonest I will make whatever information that is available, I would make it available to you.
Prime Minister Stephen King was in the constituency office at the time of the shooting, but was apparently never in danger. Sources say there were 2 members of his security detail with him, but one had left on an errand, while the other was occupied with ensuring that the Prime Minister was safe.
The first responsibility of the officer would be to ensure that the Prime Minister is secure before going after the perpetrator. And obviously, by the time he ensured that the Prime Minister was okay and came out, the person was gone.
The National Security Minister says the Prime Minister was shaken by the incident, which resulted in the death of 30-year-old Alvin Simon, known as Ding of Wapatat, who had apparently been recently released from prison. He had arrived at the constituency office with another man in a white car, seeking to obtain work. The victim was shot in the midsection as he sat on the balcony of the constituency office, and after he fell to the ground, was shot again. He was rushed to Victoria Hospital, where he was pronounced dead shortly after his arrival. For the DBS News World, Pete Ninfal reporting.
And the Prime Minister's official residence at VG was crawling with heavily armed police following today's incident, as Mr. King met with senior police officials to discuss the incident and a response. The St. Lucian leader also spoke with members of the media. Here is DBS's Jason Hollingseed.
Speaking at the short briefing, the island's Prime Minister has indicated the gravity of the matter which occurred earlier today, where a gunman opened fire on a young man at the Prime Minister's Leclerc constituency office. Prime Minister King, referring to what occurred as unfortunate, believes that the situation speaks strongly, as he says no one is safe, and has called for the citizens of the island to take control of the existing crime situation.
It is not one that calls action only by the police, or action only by the government, by the Prime Minister, or by the Minister for Home Affairs. It is not one that calls for politicization of the situation. It is one that calls for a collective response in dealing with the current environment in which we all are in. It is one that calls for mothers and fathers to rethink their roles and to take control of their children. It is one that calls for each and every single citizen to take responsibility.
Prime Minister King says in addition that the incident brings to the fore serious challenges faced by the government, the country and citizens. In recent time, however, there has been debate over tougher penalties, changes in policies and constitutional reform, as citizens believe such will ease the crime situation. In that regard, my question to Prime Minister King was, with all the talk about constitutional reform, what would be done differently now that crime has come to his doorstep.
Let me say, no amount of changes to the Constitution or the laws of St. Lucia can change what we're experiencing. What has to happen is a change in behavior, a change of culture, a change of attitude, and an acceptance of responsibility by those who have the responsibility, the mandate to deal with the current environment. We can change the Constitution every morning when we wake up. We can put in laws every day of the week, new laws, okay? Unless our attitude change, a new culture, a new behavior, then we won't be able to deal with the situation.
The government, Prime Minister King says, will continue on its endeavor to bring back peace and tranquility that once existed in the country. For the DBS News World, Jason Hollenseed reporting.
Meanwhile, St. Lucia Police today launched a massive operation in parts of the city in response to the armed attack at the Prime Minister's constituency office. Heavily armed police were very much in evidence along Chaussee Road and in other areas. Residents of Wilton's Yard complained that they were prevented from exiting their community, while others were prevented from entering. Police also stopped and searched several vehicles in an apparent hunt for clues leading to the arrest of the perpetrator of today's violent attack. St. Lucia Police have charged 21-year-old Markin Marquis of Grand Ravine in Dennery for the offense of escaping lawful custody. He is due to make an appearance in court on Monday. Marquis is believed to have escaped from Bodily Correctional Facility by scaling the security fence at about 2:30 p.m. on Sunday, the 5th of September 2010. The inmate was serving a term for grievous harm and possession of controlled drugs. His escape following a daring prison break earlier by two Venezuelans and a local assisted by masked gunmen had raised serious questions about security at St. Lucia's maximum security prison. Security at the institution is currently under review. Still in the first segment of the broadcast, a 16-year-old male student of Dennery has been charged for the murder of 45-year-old Ethelbert Evelyn, also known as Romeo of High Street in Dennery. Evelyn's body was found at about 3 p.m. on Sunday, the 5th of September.